area of a rectangle is the amount of squares that cover a shape. Cover a shape. Now, the way we do it is we do length times width. So L times W equals area. Okay. Now, a parallelogram, we're still having the amount of squares that cover a shape, but our parallelograms are shaped more like this. And what we found is that this we call is the base, and then we have a height that is a 90-degree angle to the base, and so we do base times height equals area, two of the similar measurements. All right, so I want you to find the area of this rectangle. You can use your calculator. So you should have length times width equals area. So you should have 14 times 6. And your area is 84. Now it's feet. Now when we have feet multiplied by feet, it becomes feet squared. And we can think of it as having this square corner, and we can also think of it, because we're counting the amount of squares, that little 2 stands for feet squared. That's what that little 2 means. All right. The next part is find the area of a parallelogram. Well, we already said it was base times height equals area. So go ahead and use your calculator and find that area. Be careful, make sure you're using the correct base and the correct height. So the base on this is 12. Your height is 6. 6 times 12 is 72. And because we're finding the amount of squares that fit in this parallelogram, it is centimeters squared. Remember, our base and height make this perfect corner. That's why we have this length and width. They make a perfect corner. Base and height makes a perfect corner. Okay, turn the page. How do we find the area of a triangle? Well, we find the base and the height. We multiply, then we divide by 2. You don't have to write it exactly like me, but it has to be something like that, right? So base times height divided by 2 equals triangle area. Or you can write it as base times height times 1/2 equals triangle area. So go ahead and find the base, first find the base and height of this triangle, and then find the area. Well, remember, we want to find that perfect square corner, and that gives us that base and height. So this is my base, this is my height. So we have 12 times 4 divided by 2. 12 times 4 is 48, divided by 2 is 24. So the area of the triangle is 24, and I didn't put any units on that one. Okay. Find the area of the next triangle. Remember, you're doing base times height divided by 2. So you should have So even if your triangle is crooked, sometimes on the paper your triangle will be slanted, you are still looking for that perfect 90-degree angle. So we are going to have 11 times 5.1 divided by 2. 11 times 5.1 divided by, 11 times 5.1. I like to put equals in between just to make sure, and then divide by 2. 28.05. 28.05. Now, are the units regular feet or is it square feet? Well, remember, area is finding the amount of squares that cover a shape. So our feet are going to be square feet, which is represented by that little 2. Meaning we have 2 numbers to be multiplied together. That's one way to remember it. All right, find the area of the third triangle. Base times height divided by 2. Go ahead and figure it out. So even if I turn my paper, I'm looking for this square corner. See, it's right here. So this is my height, and the base is only as long as the triangle is. So we have 3.5 times 4 divided by 2. Now, some of you might have noticed that I'm using the x. When there's a decimal in the problem, I'll use the x just so it's not confusing. 3.5 times 4 equals 14 divided by 2 is 7. Remember, you can always use a calculator when you're doing area. And because we're finding the number of inches that cover the space in squares, the answer is squared. Okay, how do we find the surface area of a rectangular prism? Well, surface area means we find the area of all of the rectangles and add them together. So we're going to find the surface area of this rectangular prism. First, we're going to draw the net. So remember, we have a top and a bottom. We have a front and a back. And we have a side. And we have another side. So we're going to make, I usually like to start with the front. I'm going to say this is my front. So attached to that is going to be my top. And the top and the bottom are always the same size. I'll just put I'll put bottom. And the back and the front are always the same size, so I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And then I have my side, and I have my side. Then I want to make sure I can put my numbers on there. You could draw that a little bit larger. So I know it's 7 long. I know this piece on the bottom is 5 and a 3. I'm going to say this is my 5 because that's a little bit bigger. And then this is my 3, which means this is my 3 because these two pieces, when you fold it, are going to touch each other, which means this is my 5. If this is a 7, this is a 7, this is a 7, this is a 7. Go ahead and put the rest of the numbers on there, and then find the area of each of those pieces. So this, that's the front, that's the back. I forgot to label it. So seven times 5 is 35. 7 times 3 is 21. If that's a 5, that's a 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 3 is 21. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 5 is 15. You need to add those all together. 35 plus 35. I can do 21. Oh, I know I have two 21s. I could simplify that and say 21 times 2. And I have two 15s. I could do 15 times 2. 70, 42, and 30. 70 and 30 is 100, so I end up with 142. And this is centimeters squared because it's area. So we found the area of each rectangle and we added them all together. Now some people do it straight from the picture. You could also do that. This is 3 tall, which means this is 3 tall. So this would be 3 times 7. 7 times 3 is 21. This is a 3 by 5, so that's 15. And then the top is a 5, because this is 5, so this is 5. 5 by 7, so it's 35, which you end up with 35, 15, 21. You could add all that, 10, 11, 5, 6, 7, right? And then times it by 2, which gives you 142, because you need 2 of everything. All right. Find the surface area of this shape. Well, I have this over here. It's a 2 by 4. Not a very good rectangle. 2 by 4. And then I have a 4 by 3. So I know this is going to repeat, because if this is right here, I have another one in the back. That's another 2 by 4. And then this one has another one in the back. So there's another 3 by 4. And then I have these pieces, which is a 3 by 2. So I'm just going to put it here. That's a 3, so that's a 3. That's a 2. That's a 3. So that's a 2. And then I have to find the area of each shape, find the area of each rectangle. This is 8. This is 12, right? 4 times 2, 4 times 3. This is 8 again, 4 times 2. This is 4 times 3 again, so it's 12. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. You can do it as 8 plus 12 plus 8 plus 12 plus 6 plus 6. Or you have 8 plus 12 plus 6, which is 26, and then times 2, which is 52. So the total surface area is 52, and it's units. These are our little units. You can say square units, or you say units with the 2, which means units squared. All right, we have one more. Now remember, you should be pausing your video as you go along to take your time. How do you find the surface area of a triangular prism? You find the area of all of the shapes and add them together. So here's our shape. It's already drawn as a net. So you need to figure out how to find the area of each one. Well, this first rectangle is a 5 times 10. And not everything on here is the same, so you do have to do a lot of work. The second rectangle is a 10 times 12. The third rectangle is how tall? Well, if this is 10, this is 10, because rectangles are the same on both sides. So this is a 10 by 13. And then we have the triangles. This triangle is 12 by 5. And we already reminded ourselves and practiced that a triangle is the base times the height divided by 2. So 12 times 5 divided by 2. And this triangle is exactly the same. This is a 12, which means that's our 12. 12 times 5 divided by 2. 50. Anything times 10 puts a 0 on the end. 50, 120, 130. 12 times 5 is 60. Divided by 2 is 30. If you don't believe me, use your calculator. 12 times 5 is 60. Divided by 2 is 30. And then you add it all together. So for me, I would go 250 plus another 50, that's 300, 330, 360. 360 square units because it's area. All right, the next one you're going to do on your own, and then you're going to check the answer when you're done. And if you don't have all the correct work, you're going to copy my correct work down. So we have a 4 by 5. And we have a 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 times 5. And then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 5. And then our triangle is a 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 times 4 divided by 2. And the same triangle on the other side. 3 times 4 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Well, 20 plus 10 is 30, plus 10 is 40, plus 20 is 60, plus 12 is 72, right? 60, 72. 72 units squared, because that little 2 means squared. All right, good job. Okay, the next question, find the area of the given figure. Well, this is a composite figure, so you will need to decompose into triangles and rectangles. All righty, I decided to make a rectangle in the center. 4 by 4 is 16. I took this little corner and put it up and made a square. It's a 2 by 2, so it's 4. And then I just decided to do the other triangle separately to show you if you did it like a triangle. So the base is 2, the height is 2. Remember, it has a perfect square corner. 2 times 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. This one's the same. 2 times 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. I add my totals together for an answer of 24. All right, and then on to the very last page, which I don't know what I did with my very last page. Here it is. How do you find the area of a square? Well, a square is a rectangle, so length times width would work for area. But squares are special because their side lengths are the same. So a lot of times we'll write it as side times side equals area. So thinking of my square, the sides are the same. How would I find the area of a square with a side length of 7? I like to sketch my square.
Elijah Reeves, please come to the office for a moment. Elijah Reeves, please come to the office for a moment.
So I know if one side is 7, the other side has to be 7. 7 times 7 is 49, and the units are squared. That 2 tells you that it's squared. And it's because two things are being multiplied, length times width, 2 dimensions. So a 2-dimensional figure has a little 2. Use exponents to express the area. Well, we know the area is side times side equals area. Well, my side is 5, so it'd be 5 times 5. So how would I write 5 times 5 as an exponent? That would be 5 to the second power, would be how to get the area of that square. If I know the area of a square, how would I find the missing side length? Well, remember we know it's side times side equals area. They're telling me the area is 36. So it's something times the same exact number, because it's a square, equals 36. This is an instance where it's really important to know your multiplication facts. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of guessing and checking on your calculator. 6 times 6 equals 36, so my missing side length is 6. What is special about a cube? Well, a cube is made of all the same squares. So it's all the same dimensions. When we say dimensions, we're talking about the length, the width, and the height. So if that's a 4, that's a 4, that's a 4, that's a 4. So finding the surface area, you would find the area of one face, and then you'd have to find all the faces. How many faces are on a cube? Front, back, side, side, top, bottom. So one face is 4 times 4, which is 16. And there's 6 faces, so I do my 16 times 6. Here's my calculator. 16 times 6 is 96. How would I do that using exponents? Well, remember, exponents are showing repeated multiplication. So this right here is my repeated multiplication. So I would have 4 to the second power, because there's 2 4s, and then I'm multiplying it times 6. So that equals 96 units squared, because it's still area. All right, a little bit of review on exponents. Exponent form, you want to know how many times this number is being multiplied by itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 to the 7th power. Is a statement true or false? Remember, an exponent is repeated multiplication. So 2 times 4 is not repeated multiplication, so that's false. 4 plus 4 is not repeated multiplication. 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Repeated multiplication. And the last one, 4 times 5 means 4 groups of 5, but that's always addition. So that's this. 5 groups of 5, that's addition. This is multiplication, repeated multiplication. So 5, and I need 4 of them multiplying itself. So this is 5 being multiplied by itself. There's 4 of them. And this is 4 being multiplied by itself, and we need 5 of them. All right, when you are finished, go up to your teacher, tell them the secret word is sunshine, and you will get a candy.